Welcome to the Misadventures with
Kiki
and Cowboy. How are you doing today, my darling Kiki?
I'm doing all right, thank you.
All right.
How are you?
Good. I'm very good. Always very good.
So,
Yeah, I'm flying blind, everybody.
flying blind, big surprise.
Big surprise that I don't know what we're going to talk about today. Kiki has something on our Trello.
I do. You will very quickly be up to speed.
I have no idea.
But, so, I thought we could talk about blended family holidays.
The BFHs.
Uh-huh. But what I was going to say
yeah.
is, do you remember a 80s movie?
80s movie.
John Candy
Trains, Planes, and Automobiles.
and Steve Martin.
Yep. Trains, Planes. Those are not two pillows.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yes.
Trains, Planes, and Automobiles. One of the two.
I think it's Trains, Planes.
Is it?
Yes.
I thought it was
Trains, Planes, and Automobiles.
All right. I thought we could name our similar adventures, misadventures around the holidays, blended family holidays. I named this one Planes, Motorcycles, and Cars.
Planes, motorcycles. I still think it shouldn't start with planes, though.
Why?
Well, I guess that's the only thing. Okay.
It doesn't have to be.
The other one's trains, planes, and automobiles.
I know. I'm just following the same.
Okay. So it's planes,
idea.
Motorcycles.
It doesn't have to be the same words.
Could it be trains? Could it be planes, motorcycles, and automobiles?
No,
planes, trains, and automobiles.
You'll see why it's cars.
Cars.
Yes, there's a reason.
All right. So yes. Okay, I'm on board. Let's kickstart this.
So let's first
reference.
just before we get into the actual nitty gritty of it.
The nitty-gritty.
To get to Thanksgiving planning and actually get there,
which is in our rearview mirror now.
I think it was 1,573,000 versions of whatever it was going to be.
This podcast.
No, of whatever our plans were going to be.
Oh, okay, yes, right, because we started planning in September. And we had modification, change.
Absolutely.
Plan change.
Oh, so many plan changes.
Yes.
Constant, right?
Yes. They're changing in reverse. Like we're still rethinking what we did. So the plans are still changing.
Well, so I'll start out with.
And we're way ahead on next year.
With blended family, we amplify that by the fact that one of our daughters lives out of state.
Colorado.
So that already immediately enters into the planes.
Yep.
Then motorcycles actually could enter into it a couple of times because we were supposed to take...
Yeah, we're supposed to do the Kerrville thing again.
Our quote-unquote annual, even though we've only done it once.
It would have been our second annual.
Motorcycle trip.
Yep.
We had it all planned.
One of the previous episodes covered it completely.
Yes, but we ended up deciding not to go.
Yep. Cowboy was like, we got other stuff going on.
Right. Despite the fact that...
I made the call.
Despite the fact that a couple of days before we were supposed to leave, like a day before we were supposed to leave...
This is why we book hotels that we can cancel 48 out.
Yes.
Because plans change.
Yes. And... despite all that, we still ended up with a hotel reservation, if you recall.
I do.
Just a day before
but that was their mistake.
Non-departure. It was,
mistake,
but it was definitely
they had somehow
like
booked,
the craziest thing.
We had called, talked about it, and I remember
decided not to go with that hotel.
They said,
we
so
booked
you're
a
sure you're not
hotel.
going? And we said, yes, please cancel our reservation.
Because they wouldn't do a
refund. Because they were fully booked.
It was a
non-refundable.
Pay up front, non-refundable.
Yep.
And
that's
so
why
we
we're
said,
like, no, we're not doing that.
No.
We said cancel, and they still booked it.
They still booked it. And then what's crazy...
They didn't bill our card, though.
What's crazy is they booked it under my
Your
name, even though you were on the phone with them.
It made no sense at all.
It was the craziest thing.
Like they didn't even know your name.
Well,
they had to have.
So
but they.
What
Yes.
the agent told me
it's not
after. So
rocket
what's so
science.
crazy is right.
It's not impossible.
We didn't make that hotel reservation. We made a reservation at a different hotel.
Right
And
next door.
actually, we ended up making that reservation like 2 or 3 times because we made it. And then you said,
Nah.
no, we don't going to go. So I canceled it. And then you said, yeah, maybe we'll go.
What's funny
and
is
so I
at
made
none
it
of these
again,
times did I tell
and then
her
I
to
canceled it.
cancel or not. Like she immediately, I think the moment I said, maybe we won't go, I think she literally went in the other room, made a phone call, and came back in about 20 seconds. And
true?
said nothing, whether she'd canceled or not.
True.
So I didn't know she was canceling and
Well, I don't know, dear. What do you think happens when you say we're canceling the trip?
I don't realize. Yeah, but I didn't think you'd make the phone call within 5 seconds of.
It was not. It was within
Yeah.
a week of you saying it.
Time goes by differently for she and I. It's like I'm real close to the black hole. I was saying Interstellar.
Is that what it is?
Shit, I'm real close to it, so time travels real slow for me, and she's way out.
Is that?
You're
I
way
thought
out
it's
there.
the opposite.
You're way out there.
Isn't it the opposite? I think time travels faster when you're close to a black hole.
No, it doesn't. It's real slow. We
Do-
got to. Okay.
do you know this for a
we're,
fact?
We're gonna have to watch.
Which one of
Interstellar
us
again.
is the black hole in this scenario? Are you saying
No,
that
one
your
of us is
proximity
closer
to
it.
me?
Closer to it. Someone's closer to it.
I know. Which
So in Interstellar, when they landed on near Gargantua, that
yes.
they every second ticking was a day, just click, 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 right? But for them, it was moving really slow. It was a day elsewhere. Like the other people, it was flying by. The guy they left in orbit,
Yes.
he had been there for 10 years by the time they got back the next day.
I've never watched that. I don't know if I've watched.
I'm
that
just
movie.
saying, if you're
I
close
don't
to a
even
black
know.
hole,
Stop
time
calling
moves-
me that.
I'm not. I'm saying you and close to a black hole doesn't mean you're the black hole in this.
I think that's exactly what you're
So
implying.
anyway, so we agree that time travels differently for us.
For us. Anyway. So
Me a few seconds, her is a week.
so this is just the weekend
I
before
think it's the opposite of
Thanksgiving.
what I just said.
right? I told
She's
you
moved
it's
on.
the
Hey,
opposite.
have you moved on? Okay, yeah,
Yes.
we've moved on.
I'm already established that I'm right. So anyway, the motorcycle factors in because not only were we supposed to take a motorcycle trip,
Yes.
but then to complicate things, we're going to go back to planes. My son comes home right before going to the trip
Yep.
and says, "Oh, by the way, I have to work.
For the holidays.
the holidays.
I wasn't able to get time off.
I can't get any time off."
We just made plans for travel.
We had made plans, so we had to change it again.
Yeah.
Like the number of versions and renditions.
So then
on
that
this.
changed how we're getting down there. It changed how
Right,
how
so
we're getting back. Who's
That
gonna
was
be in
part
what
of the reason
vehicle.
that we
Yeah.
were flying
him
our daughter in.
in.
Was because she was going to fly in because my kids were seeing their dad.
Yeah.
And then we
Here
were
in
going to go
town.
on the motorcycle trip.
Yeah, she and I.
And so we thought, well,
But-
why don't we all meet in Austin?
Yeah.
Except that
Would make sense.
my youngest can't drive the distance to Austin yet.
Right.
My middle kid probably
Could only drive one way now.
Yeah.
And we'd be stuck with an extra car.
Right, because right.
And the
so
oldest
then we
is flying
thought,
from Colorado and
so we
flying
thought,
back.
well, fly the oldest in. She'll
almost like you need a matrix
drive
of
them
travel,
down,
like-
right?
We need a
and then
wall
we'll all
with
meet in Austin.
sticky things and yarn all over the place.
And all of that, right? So,
Yes.
and then complicate everything with Cowboy is like, it'd be really great if I could ride my motorcycle.
Still want to ride the
To
motorcycle.
Austin.
I mean, riding the motorcycle was never truly out of the equation. It was just who's going to be on or near the motorcycle.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yeah. So picture it. We've got kids
For me, it was never truly out of the equation.
flying in, driving over to their grandparents. We're here. We're getting all of the
Yep.
arrangements done. Cowboy's got the motorcycle with the trailer hookup.
And
I've got the car. Kids have to get back here.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has to get in the car. we all finally leave
And meanwhile,
the day before Thanksgiving.
I'm still coordinating how my kids.
You
my
still
three
haven't figured
are
out
getting to and from
your kids.
my mother's place, the grannies, and
or
how they're
even
gonna,
food,
and
right?
food, yeah,
Because all of a sudden you're like, oh my
now
gosh,
they're going
wait
to
a
be
minute.
there without me, but I need to make sure that they have food options, that their gas is covered, all these different things that are just
Right.
like make sure it's all going to go with
all
my
the
kids.
logistics of that.
Logistics.
So you're dealing with all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then while we're down,
While
now
riding
we're
the motorcycle.
So yes, exactly. So we get down to Austin. It wasn't too terrible. We got there the day before Thanksgiving.
I had a great ride down.
And my son has to fly back the day after Thanksgiving.
yeah.
So now I have to get a second plane
he needs
ticket.
to ride to the airport.
But now we have to figure out the airport for him. Exactly. His car has to stay over at his granddad's house.
So they can pick him up from the airport and bring him there, and then he can go, because he has to go right to work after he lands. So yeah, it's
100%. Then, while you're in Austin, the day after Thanksgiving, you're supposed to go visit
my folks,
your family,
which is a 2.5 hour
and
ride.
see your kiddos. And then it turns out that
they're leaving early now.
they're leaving early, and so by the
God.
time you get there, you would have been there for like an hour.
And 1 hour before they jet. And I was like, well, and also it's real cold.
Oh, it's
so like that
freezing.
morning I made the call. I was like, yeah, it's super cold. And I love to ride, but it's super cold. And I was like, so I decided that, they're fine. They're adults now. And I love them. They know I love them. So I know I'm going to see them soon because they're around now because they're all, doing their thing. So long story short, I decided to stay an extra day. So we
stayed an extra day.
We got Middle on his plane to his work.
Right. And so we know he's here. Luckily, didn't forget the house key.
Yes.
Didn't forget driver's license, any of those things. All of those things went smoothly. Yeah. That was all great. So you're going to meet him here. And in the process of getting ready to get out the door, you end up tweaking your back.
Yep. While in Austin.
And it's the morning of your ride here.
It's literally I'm loading up the motorcycle.
You're putting your boots on.
I put my boots on and tweaked my back a little bit. And I was like, oh. I literally walked into Kiki in her mother's house and I walked in and said, you won't believe what just happened. And what's funny is we'd helped her mother replace her car battery. So her mother, first thing she says, your battery's dead? I'm like, nope. Like my back. So luckily I was able to lay down, taking a leave, and I was.
You still rode all the way up here.
I rode the 4 hours plus back up here, including stops. And I tell you, I don't know about everybody on the call. The call, like y'all can tell I'm on call.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Hello,
like,
caller.
It's like let's per our last email. I found that, and no one necessarily will agree with me, other than people who ride motorcycles. The motorcycle,
it healed your back.
It helped. It didn't heal it, but it helped. Like it's like I think it's just the way I'm sitting, and it kind of moves my core around and stuff, and it actually felt just fine. And I mean, it was still when I got home. Yeah, it was still tender, but it was generally pleasant. And again, I rode 4 hours, a couple hundred miles, no problem. Which that says a lot for the medication I took. Now I only took it like an Aleve.
Like a dual action Aleve.
Yeah, so it's not like it was.
So it wasn't. You didn't do any kind of meds that
would have affected my mental fortitude.
Fortitude, yes. Now you alluded to one of the many cars involved in this. Planes, motorcycles, and cars.
So many cars involved.
So, not just the car that we drove down in, not just the car that we had to leave at, my son had to leave at his granddad's house and coordinate, not just the car that my daughter had to take separately to be able to go to granddad's house. So 2 cars had to go to granddad's house so that 1 car could come back and 1 car could stay there so that we could turn around and get my car and go down. Mm-hmm. Aside from all of those cars, then you also mentioned my mom's battery goes out.
We're just going to run an errand that morning or something.
We were going to go play pickleball.
That's right. We were going to play pickleball. And
for the first time ever.
And just goes, Everybody knows that noise. Dead battery.
Yep.
Battery's dead.
And
we even had a
she's
little
pulled
charger thing.
far into the garage.
Yeah.
I was thinking,
could barely get the hood open.
I was like, how on earth are we going to jump that?
Yeah.
So I'm glad she had a little battery pack. So
which worked. It got
did.
it running. Yeah.
Got it up and charged. Cowboy, me, and my mom. I don't know why it took 3 of us.
Yeah, it's more fun that way.
But the 3 of us all go to the auto shop so that they can get a new battery, right? Mm-hmm. And while we're there, it is November 30th. And what occurs to Kiki while we're there at the auto shop? I'm like,
it's the end of the month.
It's the last day of the month. Do you know, hey, Cowboy, you know what was sitting on my desk that we were supposed to do? All of that when we canceled we had such grand plans. We canceled the motorcycle trip and we were going to get so much shit done.
Yep. That was that weekend. We decided to convert that weekend. Now, we did. I mean, you can see by this thing I'm pointing at, this pile of stuff that we still haven't sorted out.
We did 2 things on our list.
We consolidated some things.
We did 2 things on our list.
The most important things.
We built the tortoise hutch and we deconstructed half of the garage.
Yep.
A quarter of it is still here inside the house.
In the living room because we don't know.
We were supposed to get the car inspected so that we could get it registered. Mm-hmm. We were supposed to put up Christmas. We were supposed to put up fix the light in the closet. I'm trying to think what was some of the other things that we had. We had this monumental list of things that we were going to do, right? And
to my credit, the light is fixed now.
It is. It is. But I'm just saying for that particular weekend, we had this list. And so, of course, we're out of town. And I remember just then, oh my God, we didn't get the car inspected. And I have to get it registered. Otherwise, like the online, you like they won't let you register it online. You'll have to go in, right?
DMV, yeah.
So I'm like, and it super sucks to have to go in, right? So
there's tons of Pokestops there.
So we're sitting there at the auto shop, and so I say, hey, tell you what, I'm gonna leave you and Mom. I'm gonna take the car and go get it inspected. Because I can
while
at
we're
least
waiting for the battery to be swapped.
Yeah, while we're waiting for the battery to get swapped. I know you guys are fine, and I'll go get it inspected. And of course, my mom's like, "You can't get it inspected outside of the county that you live in. You have to get it inspected in the county." So of course, I Google search. I'm like, "Okay, no, we're fine. I can go get it inspected." But guess what else?
Still in the state of Texas, yeah.
It's a Sunday.
Sunday.
Right? Or was it Sunday or Saturday?
No,
either way,
it was Saturday.
Either way, it was a day when inspections don't always happen because they're usually during the week. When they have the inspections, or like
person,
that are just crazy hours, whatever it was. So, as it happens, Cowboy's like, you know what? Take your mom with you. I'll just stay with the car. Once the batteries, we'll all meet up. So,
piece of cake.
Hop in the car. Mom's in the passenger seat. I'm there. We drive out of the auto shop, and no sooner are we on the road. I mean, I'm talking less than 2 minutes round trip. We're starting to head down the road. We get, past the light, and Mom goes, dear, doesn't the date on your registration sticker say April of 2025? I don't think you need an inspection.
She was right.
And so I'm like, oh my gosh, it wasn't my car. So I turn around right away. We come back to see Cowboy at the auto shop, and face palm. I'm like, oh, don't. Well, now what's funnier is while we were there getting the battery done, I had texted our son who's here because he works in the evenings.
He flew back.
Yeah, and he works in the evenings, so I knew he had some time in the daytime. So I said, while I had been waiting, I was like, hey, since my car needs inspection, what about yours? I don't even remember when yours needs inspection, right? So when Mom points out that my sticker wasn't expired, I'm like, oh, I messed up. It must have been his car that needs the inspection, because they're all under my name, right? So I text him again, and I'm like, okay, you've got to absolutely make it a priority.
Top level. Yeah.
Go get your car inspected. So he wakes up, not as late in the morning as I would have thought, because I was getting nervous that like he was going to sleep in so late that he would, have to go to work promptly. And so off he goes. He gets it inspected. As Cowboy suspects, they give him a laundry list of things that are wrong with his car.
Yep.
And, our answer, of course, is, at least right now, is it needed to pass inspection?
Only what's critical.
Just like, otherwise we're going to shop around and get the right price.
Yep.
Right? So he's like, no, it passed. I'm like, great. Okay, so I have like an hour before he's ready to go to work. I said, okay, now you got it inspected. Go get online and register your car. And he's like, I don't know how to do that. So I said, okay, well, tell you what. I remember the little registration thing came in the mail. It'll probably have the website right on it, and it'll have all the other details you need, right? Like usually you need like the VIN number, the license plate, just some of those things, right?
Yep, the basics.
That we have, but like you'd have to go back out to your car and look at it and whatnot. So I was like, just look at that. So he's like, okay, yeah, I found the letter. Perfect. And he's looking at it and he goes, Mom, this isn't for my car. And I'm like, what? It turns out
it's for our youngest.
The youngest car.
It's car number 3.
So,
Cars.
Cars. So it turns out the youngest needs the inspection. And now I don't have time to get him.
And it's overdue because it's here.
It's here. He could have taken it, but now he's out of time because he has to go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, needless to say, the youngest car has still not been inspected. It's still not registered.
Well,
I'm going to have to pay an extra fee.
But this would be a good chance. I can take her down to the motor vehicle thing, and we can do it in person.
Yes,
She's never done it before.
Yes.
And like I mentioned before,
it'll be fine. It's just
tons of Pokestops.
But then today,
there's like 3 gyms right on top of that.
Because of all the Pokestops.
Because it's a public library too.
And then today we tried to go.
Totally going.
We tried to go get the inspection done. And one of the little places we go, if you call them to ask if there's an inspector in, the phone number goes to a main hub, like an answering.
I'm convinced it's in Indonesia.
Like a customer service call center or something. They
never know anything.
They never know anything. And so what do they say? Oh, yeah, sure, there's an inspector there. So off we go to the inspection, and we get there. And we pull in. Oh, my God. That was hilarious, by the way. Very nervous. So the place we go, they have, the big hole in the ground so that the mechanic is underneath. And you get to stay in your car. It's like a tiny little place. So they don't pull it in for you. You drive in.
Yes.
Well, this is the first time that our youngest has had to do that.
She's probably terrified.
I'm terrified
because all it takes is just to turn the wheel a little bit.
We're driving in, and I'm like, okay, just watch the guy. I can see her fixated on the hole in the ground, and you know how it is.
You go where you're looking.
If you look at it, you're going to drive into it.
Yep.
I mean, every single one of us has had that teaching our kids to drive, and you're like, don't hit the mailbox.
Yep.
Don't hit the mailbox. And of course they're like, I'm just going straight towards the mailbox because that's what you're looking at, right? So I'm watching him, and he's doing very small gestures, but he's doing like the airplane moves, right? Forward, left, right? And so I'm trying to, because I see her eyes looking at the hole in the ground instead of him standing there. And so I'm trying to vocalize what he's saying. I'm like, forward, no, wait, left, a little bit of left, no, wait, more, right, no, and let. And she's like, ah! And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I was convinced that we were going in that hole. Like, I just like, I don't know how those guys do that.
I know they do have. I think they have raised bars
They
there.
do.
So I mean, you have to be pretty aggressive to actually get the tire over that. Yeah.
I've hopped a curb before pretty easily. It does not take a lot of effort.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
so anyway,
we're lucky.
we pull in today. He puts his head in the car, like, and
what can I do for you?
yeah, and he's kind of smiling at us, probably because he knows that she's a young driver.
Yeah.
And he's like, and so he's like, okay, what's the mileage on your car? What's this? What's this? And then he looks at the computer and he looks down and he goes, "You're here for an oil change?" I was like, no, we're actually here for an inspection. And he's like, okay, because I can see that you got the oil changed 1,000 miles ago. I'm like, well, if you saw that, why are you asking if we need an oil change? Like, what sense does that make? So, so I said, okay, no worries. We'll go and I'll come back. My other car, I don't know why I'm telling him this, but I'm telling him, I'm like, my other car needs an oil change. So, we'll be back. And he gets this look on his face like he's scared. And then he's like, he just kind of stops for a second. And I'm like, I'm not coming back today. And he's like, oh, thank God, don't do that to me.
Yeah.
Because
we're literally about to close.
We're about to close. And yes, that's what it was. It was late in the day.
Yeah.
And he's like, please don't make me stay here late. I'm like, no. So we drive all the way down the road to the next place that he tells us has an inspector. We pull in and there's a car in the bay. And now this is how weird the assistant manager phrases this. He says, the wait is about 25 to 30 minutes. And I'm like, okay, well then we'll wait. And he's like, or you can wait or come back. The wait is about 25 to 30 minutes, but we close in 10. And I'm like, so
what do you want us to do?
We can wait?
Then why would you offer to wait?
That's my point. I was still like, and then he can kind of continues on like, we close in 10 minutes. We'll try to get you in if we can get you in, but I'm not sure, whatever. And I'm like, how does any of that math work? If you have a car in the bay and it's going to be 25 to 30 minutes and you close in 10, how are you on God's green earth going to get us in? That makes no sense.
I think he's asking you to be the bigger person and say, oh, well, then clearly, I don't think he wanted to do the math for you because I think technically he can't say we can't serve you.
Yes.
He's probably trying to make you think. Yeah, and again,
it was just
and you're not taking the bait.
Thing.
You're like, okay, well,
I was like,
so I guess we'll stay.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was about to be like. So, are you telling me that if I stay here, then we'll get it done, even though you're closed?
He can't tell you
to go away.
He cannot. He can't technically say. So yeah.
So anyway,
he was in a pickle.
All of that said, we're going again to get car number 3 inspected tomorrow. This will be my third attempt at getting a car inspected to get it registered.
Car number 3 getting an attempted inspection for the third time.
Oh my God. Thank God, my son's car was due for inspection in January and they let you register up to 90 days in advance.
Yeah.
So the inspection was not lost. He managed to still get it all registered. It was all good. We just did it in advance. God forbid we did it in advance. So I'm so glad, but I was really cringing that I was going to have to tell him that we paid for an inspection that we didn't even need. So anyway, that is, I think, the sum total of our Thanksgiving.
I don't think we're alone either. I think if there's, I mean, gosh, it doesn't even have to be a blended family to have that much chaos. It's just the holidays.
Maybe. You come from a large family.
With it,
large family is just automatically chaos.
We've had chaos for birthdays like that. I mean, just Just anything. I mean, so our family, we have a joke that goes back to when we were little kids. But my sister, you'll know this. Anybody listens to this. This is back when we had those big yellow headphones that were radio headphones with a big black antenna, and my younger brother was wearing that and playing this little handheld like arcade style game. It was a little yellow thing with little joysticks, and he's sitting in a chair playing this, lost to the world. And my mother, because there's 7 of us, she's listing out, okay, this is happening.
7 of you.
Yeah, and it's Saturday morning. She's just listing, okay.
Her Saturday morning sounded like our entire Thanksgiving podcast.
Yes, that's every Saturday. And she would say, okay, you're going to do this. You're doing that. You've got this. And then we got to go to this thing for you. And then la-di-da-di-da-di-da. And then my little brother pipes up. She finishes, basically, everybody ready? And she's about to say, break. Right, here we go. Everybody go. And she's going to, everybody to the car and all this stuff. And then, because this and that. And then he kind of sits
Your
up.
younger brother.
Peels off his, whatever he's listening to.
He's finally figured out that something's happening.
Something's happening. And he goes, but Mom, and then he says my sister's name, has a game. And everyone looks at him like, he didn't hear a word.
It was the first thing on the list of all the things
his sister's game. Because I think he heard something he had to do, but he's like, but Mom, such and such has a game. And that phrase. So whenever we have chaos,
your mom must have melted in that very moment.
It's just like, I've got to say all of that again. He's like, like that. It was. Oh, my poor mother. Oh man,
I don't know. Your mom should be saying
logistics. Again, and in the cars and cars and cars. One time she was, I think it was summer, and she'd just gotten home from work, and we're all losing our dang minds because we want to go to the pool or something. And I think she probably ran in, changed shoes, comes back out to the car. We're all just sitting there, not helping with anything.
Of course.
And I think she probably had to gather all the towels because we're sitting out there. It's I guess we need our towels. We didn't think about it.
You haven't done anything at all.
We literally, as soon as she pulled up, we all got in the car and sat there. And left all the crap. So she runs out to the car. I'm sure. No snacks, nothing. She's got to gather all that crap. And a bunch of turds, and we get in the car, and poor mother, I still remember this so clearly. Someone, the neighbors behind us across the street, their adult son and daughter, or not son and daughter, but married, whatever, had pulled up and parked directly across from our driveway. And my at the
Can't
time,
get out.
And but at the time we had this giant station wagon. Everybody remembers a family truckster.
Oh yeah,
it was this huge station wagon, yellow with the fake wood trim. It was a boat. But she backs out, and she's not used to having a car on the other side of the street.
Oh no! Did she hit it?
She hit it, and you remember those bumpers were 12 inches deep with big spikes on the end. She went through their side door, punctured, just wham like that.
I've never heard this story before.
Yeah, and again, us kids are all we could think of was I guess we're late for the pool. It's Mom pulled back up.
In the back of the station wagon.
Yeah, just watching it happen. And
of course, does anybody say, "Mom, you're about to hit somebody"?
No, of course not. We're too busy grabbing the towels from her and putting them over our heads and being stupid, and just and yelling and all that. So he hits his car. She has to pull back up. March across the street, and they're the nicest neighbors. They're so great, and she's
God.
okay, I hit your car. So she's someone just Calgon, Calgon commercial right there.
That's like the Seinfeld when he says Serenity Now.
Serenity Now,
and then at the end of it, he's had a nervous breakdown because he hasn't dealt with any of this stuff.
Yeah, so I think she still got us to the pool, but it's that kind of situation. It's just the mom logistics chaos that is our. So to your point, our holiday, she packed those into a Thursday afternoon.
What's terrible about this is I always said I wanted to have a big family, and I didn't.
I love my family. I love it now.
Yes, I didn't come from one. Now we
you
have
came from two. I came
large,
from a Brady bunch of 7.
But So, but what's funny is. Cowboy's gonna laugh about this because we often say the podcast is for our therapy and amusement after something happens.
It's not funny now. It'll be funny later on the podcast. Yeah.
And so I just want to say, I think about your mom and how well she weathered all of that all the time, every single weekend, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here on a podcast talking about the one holiday, the one time, and then we haven't even delved into the fact that before we went down to Austin, all that stuff I talked about that we were supposed to do as our, I don't know, staycation or whatever you want to call it, and then plans went awry, and how pouty, irritated,
That made you.
fussy, angry. I was in such a shit mood.
I don't remember any of that.
Yes, you do. And there was one moment when I was just, I was so mad.
I blocked it.
So mad. And I just think, like, God knows that about me and was like, there's no way that you could handle 7 kids. Like, what are you talking about? You can barely manage
insane.
yourself.
Yeah, you'd be
right.
insane.
I have these lofty visions of me being like, no. Was it?
The
It
Von
was
Tropps.
no. It was.
So long, farewell.
It was Steve Martin. It's a redo,
Honey, I Shrunk the No.
and they have like 12 kids.
Oh yeah.
And it's like chaos all the
Yeah,
time.
that's not Father of the Bride though.
No, it wasn't Father of the Bride. And oh my gosh, I can't remember what it is now. Parenthood. It's not Parenthood, I don't
It's not
think.
Parenthood? That sounds like Parenthood.
Maybe is it Parenthood?
Yeah.
Do they have a bazillion
I
kids
don't
in
know.
Parenthood?
I don't
Like
think I
they
ever
were
saw it.
married and had a blended family?
I don't know if I
There's
saw
one
it.
that's like that. But anyway, I just am like, I'm always like, oh, that'll be so great. I could weather anything.
Everyone
and
will
then
get
of
along.
course, like the first sign of, the plans are going awry, and I'm just like, ah! I get like
Well, I think God was prepared to
fire
someday
coming
you
out
would
of
marry
my
me,
eyeballs.
and that you would get a full dose of it every week with my family. So yeah, and not have to like.
Yes, the fact that you have to explain this to me all the time. In fact, we had a conversation about Christmas this morning, and we're talking about it, and you're like, look, this is never going to happen.
It's like plans are going to change. I
think we talked about Secret Santa. Like, I was like, we should do Secret Santa in your family. Why haven't we ever, like again,
let's just say that
the person who comes from the small family who is married in,
yeah.
and
I've got great ideas.
2 years in, and I'm like, why hasn't anybody ever thought
Y'all
of
clearly
this?
never thought of Secret Santa. Have y'all ever tried white elephant? I'm sure that'll go great in a room full of 12, 14 people. Nothing could possibly go wrong. Oh.
And you had this like sit down lecture for me today that you were like, look, we've tried everything.
We tried every combination of everything.
It's not happening.
It's all gone to shit.
And then, of course, I came up with the brilliant idea of like, let's do a cruise together. We haven't done that.
Oh, yeah. Let's get everybody on a boat. Let's get confined together. That's what we want. And then I had to remind her that she wasn't there for that one, but we did a family Christmas. It was a little time ago. I think we were dating then. But we did a family Christmas, and my whole family went to another state. And we rented a 3-story house. And and the idea was like, oh, we'll all be together. Well, somebody brought a stomach bug with them, so then half of the house was
suggested
sick.
that too. I suggested
Like, oh,
have a weekend at Airbnb all together.
Airbnb together. I was like, nope, been tried. It's been done. It failed. It was bad. Half the house was sick. We had quarantine bathrooms. It was just literally a shit show. We had people, so sick. Yeah.
You're like, and you kept saying you're from a small family. You don't understand.
Things don't go according to plan. I mean, if you recall the podcast episode where Kiki just bailed out on the river,
That's so true.
that was exactly an example of things not going according to plan with a big group. One person just decides, I'm out. Wait, what?
And it was me.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think we all understand what's going on.
So, okay. So what are we doing for Christmas?
Well, I tell you what, let's get out the trailer board and make very detailed plans. Yeah.
It surely
I think
won't
we should
go wrong.
do a Secret Santa meets White Elephant. And might as well throw in some Christmas carols and assign everybody harmonic parts.
Yeah, I think, you know what? We should be like the Von Trapps, and we should do Christmas caroling as a group.
Absolutely. Let's see, the closest walking person in walking distance in my parents' house I think is 4 miles. So let's definitely do that.
Let's go do that.
How far is it? Keep singing. I'm so tired of Jingle Bells.
Well, we could all pilot a car, except we all wouldn't fit. It would be
no,
like
we'll
this
back into
it'd be
somebody's
like
car.
This caravan of
Yeah,
people.
we'll back into somebody's car and ruin everything. I'll be on the motorcycle,
yes.
of course. As one.
So anyway, that was our planes, trains, and automobiles.
And cars.
Cars.
Yes. It's a planes, motorcycles, and cars. I'm sold on it now.
Now you get it?
Yeah, it works. Cars.
You didn't like it at the beginning. I'm glad you came around.
I came around. That's pretty much how our story goes. So, all right, everybody, we love you. Thank you for joining the show. Shout out to one of our listeners who had a medical issue and is now safe at home and loved.
Yes.
And take care of yourself. Put some
dirt on it.
Rub some dirt on it and get better. So thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Misadventures with
Kiki
and Cowboy. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Ka-chow!